What's going on? This is Willie, and this is What's Willie Watching here on the Pace Pod. Today, I'll be summarizing Licorice Pizza. It was released in 2021, and it takes place in 1973 in the San Fernando Valley of California, where a young Gary Valentine, a 15-year-old actor, meets Alana Kane, an assistant photographer at his school's picture day. And Gary is immediately drawn to the 25-year-old Alana, who is distant at first when Gary invites her to dinner. She is hesitant and uneasy because of his age, but enjoys the flirtatious back and forth. She's intrigued and reluctantly shows up, surprising him at dinner. Gary believes the dinner was amazing and thinks everything is going smooth between them. But when his mother is unable to accompany him on a press tour performance in New York City, he turns to Alana for both chaperone and vacation date. But it backfires on Gary when Alana starts flirting with his co-star, Lance, who is a few years older than Gary. And when they return from New York City, Alana and Lance begin dating. And jealousy is all Gary feels, although it's not for long, when Lance reveals he's an atheist during a Shabbat dinner with Alana and her Jewish family, leading her to end their short relationship. Now, in the meantime, Gary shifts his focus to free his mind of Alana. He starts selling waterbeds after seeing one at a local shop. His young mind springs into action, and he sets up a booth at a teenage trade expo, where he briefly reunites with Alana before strangely being arrested, thinking he was a murder suspect. And Alana rushes to the police station. But it was all just a mix-up. He is released and embraced by Alana. She then agrees to join his waterbed business and even secures a potential client with a seductive performance over the phone. Now, Gary notices her acting potential and takes her to meet his talent agent, but is angered by her willingness to perform nudity while denying to show him her breasts. But she compulsively shows Gary anyways, right before slapping him for asking to touch them. Despite this little rift, they continue to push their waterbed business as they open a store, Fat Bernie's. But Alana and Gary are still caught in their endless back and forth as Gary flirts with one of his classmates and ends up making out with her, to which a jealous Alana happens to see, leading her to storm off after kissing a random man on the street. But her mood is brightened when Gary's agent books her an audition for a movie with a big-time actor, Jack Holden, who takes her out to dinner and just happens to be the same restaurant that Gary and his friends are enjoying their dinner at, but not for long, when Alana gets drunk with Jack Holden, making Gary very jealous. And she continues when Jack Holden is convinced to recreate one of his motorcycle stunts at a local golf course, with Alana riding with him, but is thrown from the bike as Jack Holden speeds up to make the jump over a sand trap on fire. The only one who doesn't care about the stunt is Gary. He runs right past the crowd and right to the aid of Alana. Now reconnected, they leave together and walk to the waterbed store, where Gary wrestles with his decency. Alana falls asleep, and he thinks about touching her breast, but ultimately stops himself from doing so. Now, this was not the only thing he was struggling with. While his dignity was still intact, they were hit by the 1973 oil crisis, leading to the closure of the waterbed business. But with one final delivery to be made, they make their way to the house of John Peters, a film producer. He tells him to put the bed in the master bedroom as he's leaving to meet his girlfriend, Barbara Streisand. And he humiliates Gary, threatening to strangle his brother if anything is broken in his house. So, while filling up the waterbed, Gary and Alana agree to leave the hose running as they drive away laughing. Then, down the road, they come across John Peters, who's angry that his car has run out of gas, and they give him a ride, but end up leaving him at the gas station while he steals a gas pump right out of someone's hands. And as they drive past John Peters' car, Gary hops out to smash the windows. But unfortunately, they themselves end up running out of gas. Now afraid that John Peters will catch up with them, Alana is able to steer their truck after they pushed it down a long hill all the way to the gas station. The scary ride impressed Gary, but led Alana to rethink some of her recent decisions. Wanting to go down a better path, she seeks out an old classmate, Brian, who works for a city councilman running for mayor, and he is able to bring Alana on board as a volunteer. But she never seems to be very far from Gary, as he too is able to join the campaign. Not for the same reasons, though, as Gary overhears that in the valley, pinball will soon be legal. Capitalizing on this information, he opens an arcade, but it leads to an argument with Alana, both yelling at each other about their age gap and their toxic back and forth relationship. And Alana lashes out at him, questioning his manhood, but only to make herself think she's better than him. And an upset Gary decides to leave. Now Alana attempts to drive him, feeling bad and hoping they can resolve their issues. But Gary drives off alone. Sometime later, while he's getting ready to open his arcade, Fat Bernie's Pinball Palace, Alana is getting closer with Brian, and the two nearly share a kiss. But the city councilman walks in and invites her to dinner, surprised but excited for a date with a more serious man, but is upset when she finds out it's not a real date. The city councilman just wants to take his secret boyfriend to dinner, but has to hide it for his political career. And Alana is just there to pretend to be the boyfriend's fake girlfriend. And after the dinner, Alana and the boyfriend walk home together, sympathizing with each other about the men in their lives. And she begins thinking more and more about Gary. So she sets off to see him at the arcade. But he's been thinking about her too, and he sets off to see her at the city councilman's office, both realizing they no longer want a back and forth relationship. They finally cross paths, running into each other's arms, knowing this is something real. They return to the arcade, where Gary announces her as Mrs. Alana Valentine. They embrace with a passionate kiss, and Alana finally saying her true feelings out loud, telling Gary that she loves him. Now that's the end of the story, and as always, thanks for listening.